I think the seller strike is a very apt thing. I think it may have to do with year-end tax planning. I think a lot of people said, yeah, I've got a big gain here, but I don't want to take it this year. I'm going to think about taking it next year and see what the balance of the year brings. So I think you're apt in saying that there's a bit of a seller strike. Yields are going up in a sense globally, but they're inching up. I still believe there will be no rate hike this year. I think the Fed, don't call it QE, but it is QE, and it's staying there. And that also is putting a bit under markets as we go into the new year.
No rate hike in 2020, and that's generally a well-accepted thing because the economy performs as the Fed thinks, or what's the takeaway on that?
Well, I think if you talk to the media pundits, they think toward year-end you actually might see a hike, but the markets themselves and the people trading the futures don't seem to believe it. I think the Fed learned its lesson well when it surprised the markets and disappointed them. And so I think they will be very, very careful about what they do. And as I said before, when they were so surprised at the repo explosion, and they still claim they haven't figured it out, and that is truly disturbing because that means that there are forces out there in the market that the top cop doesn't understand. And so they've added more reserves to keep the market very liquid, and that has the effect of putting in more QE than when you were doing QE.
What if there's a rate hike that's not of the Fed's making? What happens if rates just continue to go up? You're at 192 on the 10-year. What happens if you get this slow creep? Is that a risk?
It certainly is a risk. If you got above 2, I think you would certainly get the market's attention and see where you go from there.
Oh, that's all? Just a 2? That gets your attention? That's not that far away.
I know, but I think they have mileposts and landmarks that they look at, and I think 2 round numbers for some reason tend to focus people's attention, and we'll see where they go from there. You've got to remember one other thing. Many other central banks are realizing that negative interest rates are an absolute disaster. It destroys your banking system. And so you saw that the Reichsbank and others are pulling back. I don't think some of the rest of the world will be so quick, but I do think, you've got Lagarde in there, and I don't think she's a fan of negative interest rates.
Yeah, that might be one of the big landmarks of this year, perhaps, that we had that realization about negative rates. Art, Happy New Year. Thank you.
Happy New Year.